8 science-backed signs you'll likely live to 100. They say age is just a number, but once you pass 65, every year feels like a quiet accomplishment, like a chapter well written. And yet, deep down, there's a part of us that wonders, how many chapters are left? Not because we fear the end, but because we're starting to see life through a softer, clearer lens. We realize what really matters. We care less about proving ourselves and more about preserving what's precious: our time, our health, our connections. And that question begins to surface, not with urgency, but with quiet curiosity. Is it possible to live to 100? And not just live, but live well? This isn't about fantasy or chasing youth. It's not about miracle pills, strict diets, or chasing some distant fountain of longevity. This is about paying attention to the small, powerful signs your body and mind are already giving you. Signs that you are doing better than you think. Signs that even now your life might still be building towards something remarkable. You see, science has been studying people who live to 100, not just the number, but the quality of those years. And what researchers have found isn't just genetics or clean living. It's resilience, it's daily habits. It's a certain way of showing up in the world, year after year, even when life changes around you. And here's the best part. Many of the signs that show up in centenarians are already present in people like you, right now between 65 and 85. Maybe you still enjoy your morning walks. Maybe you're quick with a joke, or you still call your sister just to check in. Maybe you read books with the curiosity of someone half your age. Maybe you don't think these things mean much, but they do. They mean a lot. This is your moment to reflect, not just on the years you've lived, but on the ones that might still be ahead. Because today we're talking about 8 science-backed signs that, if you still have them between 65 and 85, may point to something extraordinary. A long, rich life that stretches into triple digits. Not a perfect life, but a meaningful, vibrant one, lived on your own terms. Let's look closely. You might be surprised by what you find in yourself. Take a moment to notice your body, not how it used to be, but how it still is. You get up without needing too much help. You walk around the block, maybe not as fast as before, but steady. You reach for a glass on the top shelf. You bend down to tie your shoes. These small movements, so easy to overlook, are actually powerful signs of something profound: longevity in motion. Researchers have found that the way you move in your 60s, 70s, and 80s is one of the strongest predictors of how long and how well you'll live. Walking speed, for example, isn't just about getting from point A to point B. In medical studies, it's called the 6th vital sign. A 2011 study published in the Journal of the American Medical Association showed that older adults who walk faster than 1 meter per second are more likely to live longer than average. Why? Because movement reflects so much more than muscle. It reflects heart function, lung capacity, neurological strength, balance, and even emotional motivation. But beyond the science, there's something else. People who keep moving tend to keep living in the truest sense. They stay involved. They go outside. They run errands, visit neighbors, dance at weddings, and explore new places. Their bodies become an extension of their engagement with life. Movement doesn't have to mean marathons or gym memberships. It could be tending a garden, sweeping the front porch, dancing in the kitchen, or walking your dog every morning. These movements aren't small, they're sacred. They keep your muscles alive, your joints flexible, and your mind connected to your environment. If you're still moving with ease, if your body still says yes when life calls for motion, then you're already showing one of the clearest signs of a long, vibrant future. The goal isn't to move like a 30-year-old. The goal is to keep moving like you today and tomorrow and the day after that. So go ahead, stretch, walk, reach, flow. Movement is life, and your life still has so much more to give. Think about the last time someone called just to hear your voice, or the last time you laughed so hard with a friend that your stomach hurt, or when your grandchild asked you for advice, not because they had to, but because they wanted to. These moments are more than sweet memories. They're medicine. They're science-backed evidence that your heart, your brain, and your spirit are still deeply alive and still tethered to the beautiful, complicated web of human connection. In one of the longest-running studies on happiness and longevity, the Harvard study of adult development, researchers found that the clearest predictor of a long, healthy life wasn't cholesterol levels or wealth or career success. It was the quality of relationships. In fact, people who were more socially connected to family, friends, and community lived longer and faced fewer health challenges than those who were more isolated. Loneliness, on the other hand, is a silent epidemic among older adults. It doesn't just hurt emotionally, it harms physically. Chronic loneliness has been linked to higher rates of heart disease, stroke, depression, and even dementia. But here's the good news. Connection is something you can build, rebuild, and renew at any age. And connection doesn't have to be constant to be real. It could be a weekly phone call with a sibling, a group of friends who play cards every Thursday, a neighbor you wave to every morning, the local coffee shop where they know your name, or the dog park, the church pew, the community garden, places where you are seen, known, and welcomed. If you still have people in your life who matter to you, and if you matter to them, you are already holding one of the most powerful ingredients for a long, healthy life. And if you've lost some of those connections, don't let the past keep you from reaching out again. It's never too late to open the door, to send the message, to make someone smile. Connection doesn't age, and neither does the human need to belong. So if your heart is still open, your laughter still shared, your stories still being told to someone who listens, you're already doing something remarkable. You're choosing to live fully. And that choice, more than anything, might just carry you to 100 and beyond. There's something magical about a mind that refuses to slow down just because the calendar says it should. You still remember birthdays. You finish the crossword in ink. You're learning how to use new apps, or at least giving it a good try. You read, you ask questions, you tell stories with vivid detail and wise reflection. That spark in your mind, it's not fading, it's dancing. Science has long studied the aging brain, and while some changes are natural, many people maintain sharp, agile thinking well into their 80s, 90s, and even 100s. One of the most famous studies, the Nun Study, looked at a group of elderly nuns who aged with incredible cognitive clarity. What researchers found was fascinating. The women who had lived the longest and stayed mentally strong often had a few things in common: curiosity, continued learning, emotional resilience, and a passion for storytelling. The key isn't avoiding aging, it's engaging with it. A sharp mind isn't about having a perfect memory. It's about staying interested, being willing to think critically, staying open to new ideas. People who live long and live well often maintain what scientists call cognitive engagement. They keep their brains active through books, conversation, problem solving, and even humor. Neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to form new connections, doesn't disappear with age. It simply waits for us to use it. So when you try something new, even something small, like learning a new song on the piano, trying a different route home, or teaching your grandchild how to bake, you're telling your brain, we're still growing, we're not done yet. If your mind still feels like a companion rather than a burden, if it's still your tool for learning, connecting, and wondering, then it's not just working, it's thriving. And that kind of curiosity is one of the greatest gifts you can carry into your later years. You don't need to be a genius, just stay curious, ask questions, keep thinking, keep reaching. Because the moment you stop being curious is the moment you stop truly living. And you, my friend, are far from done. It's easy to take sleep for granted until it no longer comes easily. And for many older adults, it doesn't. But if you're someone who still gets a restful night's sleep, who wakes up feeling refreshed instead of foggy, then you're holding on to something rare and incredibly important. Sleep isn't just rest, it's repair. It's when your body resets, your brain files memories, your immune system strengthens, and your heart takes a break from the daily grind. As we age, the quality of sleep tends to decline. Hormonal changes, medications, chronic conditions, and even stress can interfere with deep sleep. But when someone in their 70s or 80s still sleeps well, it's more than comfort. It's a signal of systemic health. Studies have shown that poor sleep in older adults is linked to cognitive decline, weakened immunity, higher inflammation levels, and increased risk of heart disease. On the other hand, consistent quality sleep, about 6.5 to 8 hours according to sleep specialists, is associated with longer life expectancy and a better quality of life overall. More importantly, the ability to fall asleep and wake up with a sense of peace speaks volumes about emotional and mental well-being. People who sleep well often carry less anxiety. They're less likely to feel isolated, and they often have good routines. They wind down without screens, keep their rooms dark and cool, and don't underestimate the value of a warm bath or a calming cup of tea before bed. Then there's the beauty of how you wake up. Do you open your eyes with a little stretch and a quiet smile? Does your body still feel willing to greet the day? That simple morning energy, the kind that says, "let's go," isn't common after 65. But it is a sign of internal balance, of emotional peace, of a body that is still in rhythm with itself. So if your nights are restful and your mornings feel gentle and energized, know this: your body is still investing in the future. Your cells are still regenerating. Your heart is still pacing for the long run. And somewhere deep inside, your body is whispering, "We're not finished yet." Let's be honest, life hasn't exactly been easy. If you've made it past 65, you've likely buried loved ones, faced illness, endured disappointment, or watched your world shift in ways you never expected. But here you are, still breathing, still trying, still finding small joys in the midst of it all. That's not weakness, that's grace. One of the most underrated predictors of long life isn't perfect health or a flawless diet. It's how you handle life's curveballs. People who live to 100 aren't immune to stress. They've just learned how to ride its waves instead of being drowned by them. Science backs this up. Chronic stress has been shown to shrink brain tissue, elevate blood pressure, weaken the immune system, and speed up cellular aging by shortening telomeres, the little protective caps at the ends of your DNA strands. But here's the hopeful twist. People who manage stress with calmness, perspective, and self-awareness tend to preserve those telomeres longer. And that's a direct link to longevity. So what does stress management actually look like at 70 or 80 or 90? It's not about pretending everything is fine. It's about processing life without letting it poison you. It's choosing forgiveness over resentment, acceptance over resistance, breath over panic. Many long-lived people practice some form of daily grounding, meditation, prayer, deep breathing, journaling, or even just walking quietly with their thoughts. Some talk to a trusted friend, others talk to God, and some simply find peace in routine, making their tea the same way each morning, sitting in the same chair as the sun rises. They don't carry the past like a weight. They carry it like a teacher. They've learned that stress isn't what happens to you, it's how you carry what happens to you. So if you still find yourself smiling in hard moments, offering wisdom instead of panic, or just taking life one breath at a time, you're showing the world what emotional resilience really looks like. And that, in itself, may be one of the most powerful signs that your story still has many chapters left. You don't have to eat like a rabbit or count every calorie to live a long life. But how and what you eat does matter. And if your plate still looks more like a garden than a factory, you're probably on the right track. Let's take a look at the places on Earth where people regularly live past 100, the so-called blue zones: Okinawa in Japan, Ikaria in Greece, Nicoya in Costa Rica, Loma Linda in California, and Sardinia in Italy. These communities, though culturally diverse, share one essential pattern. Their diets are simple, natural, and deeply rooted in tradition. These long-lived populations don't obsess over food, but they also don't let convenience rule the table. They eat mostly plants, vegetables, legumes, whole grains, nuts, and fruits. Meat is eaten occasionally, usually in small amounts. Sugar is rare. Processed food is almost non-existent. Meals are fresh, home-cooked, and often shared with others. There's also a beautiful philosophy that threads through these communities. eating with intention. In Okinawa, elders practice harahachi-bu, a reminder to stop eating when you're 80% full. In other regions, meals are enjoyed slowly with gratitude. There's no rush, no binge, no emotional distraction. Just food as nourishment, not entertainment or escape. Even the gut plays a role in how long we live. A healthy microbiome, those trillions of good bacteria in your digestive system, is closely linked to immune strength, brain health, and inflammation control. And what feeds your gut best? Fiber-rich, plant-based foods like beans, greens, and fermented delights like kimchi or yogurt. So if your meals still come from your hands, your garden or your local market, if you still choose apples over candy, water over soda, and dinner over fast food, you're honoring the quiet rhythm that sustains life. You don't need a fancy diet or a trend, you just need wisdom. And if that wisdom is already on your plate, then your body knows we're in this for the long haul. There's a kind of glow that some older people carry. Not a physical glow, but something you feel in their presence. They wake up with direction. They still care deeply about something. They don't drift. They move, even if it's slow. They're still rooted in meaning. And that quiet fire inside them, it's called purpose. Purpose doesn't always wear a name tag. It's not reserved for CEOs, artists, or missionaries. Sometimes it looks like caring for your spouse, or checking in on a neighbor. It might be showing up to your church every Sunday to sing the same hymns you've sung for 40 years, or mentoring someone younger, passing on the lessons your own life taught you. In Okinawa, they call it ikigai, your reason for getting up in the morning. In Nicoya, it's plan de vida, your life plan, your calling, your why. And study after. Study shows that having a strong sense of purpose is directly linked to longer life, lower risk of disease, and even healthier sleep and better immune function. A 2014 study published in Psychological Science found that older adults with a strong sense of purpose were 15% more likely to live longer than their peers, regardless of age or retirement status. Purpose gives structure to the day. It draws people into community. It provides emotional strength in the face of loss or difficulty. But perhaps most of all, it reminds you that your life, at any age, still matters. And it doesn't need to be grand. You don't need to start a foundation or write a book. You just need to care about something, about someone, about the legacy you're still building. So if you still feel like you have something left to give, if there's a pull in your heart toward helping, creating, guiding, or loving, then your purpose is alive and well. And with it, so is your future. Because people with purpose don't just live longer, they live better. They become the elders we all look to when the world feels shaky, and you might already be one of them. There's a quiet strength in being able to change when the world around you does, and still stay whole. It's in the way you learned how to use your phone, even if you still hit the wrong button sometimes. It's in how you adjusted to retirement, or moving out of the family home, or facing life without someone you loved. It's in the way you let go of what was and made space for what is. Adaptability is a hidden superpower in older adults. It often gets overlooked because society assumes aging means rigidity. But the people who live to 100, many of them are astonishingly flexible. Not in their joints, but in their thinking, their attitude, their openness. One study published in the Journals of Gerontology showed that older adults who demonstrated psychological flexibility, meaning the ability to accept change, regulate emotions, and shift perspectives, tended to have better mental health and lower mortality risk. In essence, the more you bend, the less likely you are to break. Adaptability doesn't mean you never grieve or get frustrated. It means you don't let those feelings harden you. You learn, you adjust, you try again, and you do it with grace. The world has changed dramatically in your lifetime, more than most people will ever experience. Technology, culture, language, family dynamics. But here you are, still in it, still learning how to navigate it, still opening yourself to the unknown, even if it scares you a little. And that kind of mindset, it doesn't just keep you current, it keeps you alive. So if you found yourself saying, I never thought I'd be doing this at my age, and yet you're doing it anyway, that's not just admirable. That's a sign of longevity. The willingness to evolve, to adapt, to say yes to change even when comfort calls you to stay the same. That is how we keep aging forward, not backward, because time will keep moving, and so will you. So here we are, 8 signs. 8 quiet, powerful indicators that your story isn't winding down, it's still unfolding. If you've seen yourself in even a few of these signs, let me tell you something with absolute clarity. You're not just surviving old age, you're redefining it. You're walking proof that aging isn't a slow fade, but a new season, rich with possibility, wisdom, and strength that's been earned through every moment you've lived. You move with intention. You still seek connection. Your mind is awake. Your sleep is restful. You handle stress with a grace most people never master. You nourish your body with wisdom, not trends. You wake up with purpose and you adapt again and again, no matter how much the world changes. That isn't ordinary. That's extraordinary. Living to 100 may still feel like a distant possibility. But maybe that's not the point. Maybe the real goal isn't to chase more years, but to fill the years you do have with more life. Because the truth is, a long life isn't built in big, dramatic decisions. It's built in the small ones, every single day. The decision to get up and go for a walk, to call a friend, to try something new, to forgive, to laugh, to keep showing up, and that's what you're doing, quietly, consistently, brilliantly. If you're 65, 75, or 85 and you're still showing these signs, then yes, maybe 100 is in your future. But even if it isn't, something equally beautiful is today, this day, right now. And all the life you still carry in your heart, your hands, and your hope. So keep going, keep growing, keep living, not as someone running out of time, but as someone who finally understands just how precious it is. The years ahead, they're yours. Fill them with movement, connection, purpose, and peace. And whether you make it to 90, 100, or beyond, know that your story has already become something rare, something beautiful, and something worth celebrating every single day.